New DNA technology may soon allow people to 3D print their face from a saliva swab. Huh? Every year, thousands of major crimes go unsolved. Imagine if police could gather DNA evidence at a crime scene and within minutes to hours turn that sample into a 3D model of the person's face that the DNA belongs to. Police would then be able to know very accurately what that person looks like from just about every angle. This is actually what one researcher named Mark Shriver of Pennsylvania State University has been working on. See, if we're also talking about robots taking over, this technology is very dangerous. Sure, you can say, yes, police can use this to find criminals, you know, whether or not the criminal is actually a person who committed a crime, or like if it was a person just on the scene and happens to leave some DNA behind. I also feel like DNA to facial recognition is interesting. Of course, your DNA, you know, print is unique and your face is pretty unique. But to link one to the other and say you can build up a face from a thing of spit, I feel like you can maybe like get like a general idea of what like shape their dome might be in. Fraudsters will capitalize on the shift to digital. According to the FTC, a COVID-related scam that started on social media cost consumers $117 million in the first 6 months of 2020 alone. With so many businesses scrambling to bring their offerings online during the pandemic, it created a host of new vulnerabilities for criminals to exploit. The volume of scams is expected to increase in 2021, and fraudsters are getting more creative. In its 2021 Future of Fraud forecast, Experian predicted that this year's scams will run the gamut from standard fraud schemes to convincing deepfakes. Frankenstein IDs are terrifying new technology of bypassing facial recognition technology that allows scammers to piece together facial characteristics to create an entirely new identity. Yeah, I mean, all of our money's digital now, right? Cash is out, so anything that you're holding there, you got to be careful with. You know, change your passwords. Don't use the same one for everything. I feel like crypto scams are gonna be the next big thing. You know, somebody will convince you to buy a bunch of NFTs or crypto stocks and then fleece you, just absolutely run you for what you're worth, and then you're sitting there like, boy, I bought all this stuff that's on the blockchain. I wonder what it's worth. Colonization of Mars. Marge is not thrilled when Lisa volunteers for a future one-way trip to Mars, so she volunteers to go with her. In fact, hoping to dissuade Lisa, the whole family signs up. The idea behind Exploration Incorporated's expedition to colonize the red planet before 2026, a date that moves up to like the end of the week. The takeoff fails, but Lisa and Marge make it to Mars in 2051, only for Lisa to announce that she wants to move to Venus. While Elon Musk's SpaceX is currently developing Mars-bound cargo flights for as early as 2022, fully colonizing Mars would require an out-of-this-world budget. Yeah, I'd say so. That's going to be expensive. I feel like anything in the 2020s on its way to Mars that isn't like rovers is a little far-fetched, if we're being totally honest. Maybe, but I feel like a lot of people are still developing the proper technology to bring things that aren't just exploratory to the red planet. But I feel like we could maybe focus on some of the issues on Earth before we start sending people to Mars, you know? Something tells me that, you know, we could use some of this space-bound technology to make things a little easier for the folks on the green planet, on the blue planet. Large-scale environmental disaster. The Simpsons movie tackles a massive environmental disaster that most definitely could happen, but fixes it in a truly implausible way. In the 2007 film, Homer dumps pig feces into the already dangerously polluted Springfield Lake, causing an environmental crisis. To keep the town's contamination contained, the president encloses Springfield under a giant glass dome. Can the deadly levels of contaminated water happen? Hell yes, and as it has many times, but no glass domes yet. I think it's too late for a glass dome. We're on the cusp of worldwide ecological collapse. We are about to fall fast, and we're doing nothing about it. It's a little scary to think about. That the next like 50 years could be just like absolutely terrifying, depending on what gets done. I don't think a glass dome's gonna help anybody, unless that glass dome is like one like levitating above the clouds. ESA and NASA will try to smash an asteroid out of its orbit in 2022. The European Space Agency and NASA have a good understanding of the importance of finding and hopefully avoiding asteroids, and they're joining forces on an asteroid impact and deflection assessment mission called IDA. The objective of this mission is awesome: to slam a spacecraft into an asteroid with as much force as possible and see what happens. Yeah, that is pretty sweet. I like this better than the other predictions, just on coolness alone, just on wickedness and awesomeness and radness. But does it have to be a spaceship? Couldn't we come up with something cooler, like a giant arm with a baseball bat? Or maybe some sort of like enormous fly swatter? Although, I mean, like, we made spacecraft, yes, but what's more human than hitting stuff with sticks, right? Many will opt to stay remote. Along with the scramble to digitize everything, 2020 has also forced the largest mass exodus from offices and schools the world has ever seen. While many have already returned to the workplace, companies such as Facebook, Google, and Zillow have announced that they are preparing for permanent remote work. Much to parents' relief, virtual school won't be permanent, at least not for young children, but many high schools and universities plan to keep students remote for the spring semester. Even when the vaccine is widely available, the remote learning trend could continue into 2022 and beyond. According to a recent report, more than 50% of college students now prefer online classes because of their flexibility. This could lead to a surge in students enrolling in hybrid or fully online programs. That's true. I remember reading up a lot about this in university. I was taking sociology courses, and online learning was something they were pushing really hard, and then development was like approaching where it needed to be, and then COVID hit, right? And then they kind of just like hopped that gap. It's not perfect by any means, but it works. Young kids, I feel like it's a bit of a nightmare, but if they're going to spend their whole lives online anyway, I mean, start them young, right? Eesh. Hover cars. Back in 2005, Professor Frink invented a machine that allowed Bart and Lisa to see into their future, as in 2013. Marge left Homer because he blew through their savings on an underwater house and spent what he had left over on a hover car. Although the ride is bumpy, it's a prototype, it does get them through a quantum tunnel. How close is that vision to coming true? In 2017, Renault created a futuristic-looking concept car called Float that could move in any direction without turning. The same technology is being used in Tesla's Hyperloop train design. I don't trust people in hover cars. I don't think humans can be trusted to pilot an easily accessible vehicle that can move in all directions like that. I don't trust it one bit. Even like air traffic controllers with years of experience, steely nerves, and a responsibility to everyone around them, they still sometimes make mistakes. With all of the car accidents and drunk drivers and people that are just generally bad at piloting a vehicle out there right now that I see all the time, imagine giving them more directions to go in. That is spelling disaster. Robots take over. The Simpsons predicted mass automation in 2012 with robots taking over jobs of many humans, which many believe is already happening. But a robot coup was launched on long before that. In a 1994 episode of Itchy and Scratchy Land, the family visited a theme park manned with robots that go off the rails and kill everybody. Jürgen Schmidhuber, also known as the father of artificial intelligence, believes that AI superintelligence will trigger runaway technological growth and profound changes to civilization in just 30 years. 30 years since when? Since the 1994 episode of Itchy and Scratchy Land? Because we're getting close then, if that's the case. Automation is happening. There's a lot of automation going on right now. We could like automate a bunch of stuff just to make lives really easy, or at least easier, less dangerous, more safe. Or it could be like automation just, it's like the Industrial Revolution 2.0, where the people who own the things that do the automation just keep making money and everyone else gets to live in squalor. I'm ready for the robot takeover, because once Skynet comes through, I'm not gonna John Connor it. I'm going to kid against the fence at the, at the playground. I'm gonna turn into a flaming skeleton. World population forecasted to reach 7 billion? Is that a bill or no? It's a bill. So 7,914,763,000. That is a lot of people. I'm looking at this graph. It's been a while since I've taken data management, but it's a lot of people. We as humans, we're smart, we're resourceful. we can conjure up the resources with automation to make it work. The suppression of green energy. In the 582nd episode of The Simpsons, Lisa invents a car powered by solar energy to race in the alternative energy derby, only for the Duff blimp to block out the sun, making her vehicle stop dead inches from the finish line. Weird coincidence, or a message about a large company sabotaging the progression of green renewable energy for corporate interests? Well, isn't that why it took us so long to get, like, proper electric cars? Like, I feel like fossil fuels have been shown time and time again to, like, not super be worth it in the long run, and if we can develop other things, probably for the best, but there's big money in that industry, and the longer they can hold on to that with their greasy, oily fingers, then for sure they will. That's why we're heading towards a large-scale environmental disaster. The average layperson isn't causing this. It's all these folks who are making more money than you can imagine on their investments in not-so-green technology.
Number 1, we're going to be hearing voices at a store. A company called Holosonics has developed a technology called the Audio Spotlight System, which uses tiny speakers to focus sound into a very narrow beam. Interesting. Ultrasonic frequencies are too high for the human ear to hear, but as the sound travels from the Audio Spotlight System speakers, air distorts the sound and makes it audible. It's perfect for in-store advertising, but you'd have to be standing in the right place to hear it.
What? That's nuts. What? You could barely hear that. That was like Sonic.
That was pretty Sonic.
Sonic.
That was pretty Sonic. I don't really understand how that works at all.
No.
But I mean, I guess that makes it a future technology. This is just a person in the grocery store.
Yeah, look at them, look at that soap.
But I guess that's like that's what it is. You know, you'll just be looking at soap and then you'll hear it. Is that the idea?
Whoa. I don't know.
That's very confusing to me, guys. Audio Spotlight System.
Number 2, DNA hacking. When the human genome was fully mapped in 2003, researchers around the globe began to dissect the genome's 3 billion plus base pairs for the root causes of diseases like Alzheimer's and common cancers. Awesome, love that. But that was only the beginning. The real dream of biotechnology is not only to understand how our DNA expresses itself, but also to write a new DNA that heals disease and repairs bodies from the inside out. J. Craig Venter, the bio-entrepreneur whose company helped map the genome, but reached a new milestone in 2010 when he built the world's first synthetic self-replicating chromosome. He loaded some homemade synthetic DNA into a bacterial cell and watched it grow and divide according to computer-generated A's, T's, G's, and C's. By his own reckoning, he had created life. Shut up! Shut up, God. Yeah, you're
That's
God
cool.
now. That's so cool.
That's cool, dude.
I hope your friends call you God, just for jokes.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because that's awesome, man.
Yo, if you could get spliced with anything, get any gene in you that you want, what are you putting in?
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
that's a good question.
Yeah.
Oof.
What do you want?
Like being a chameleon would be pretty cool.
Being a chameleon would be pretty sick, actually.
I'd be amazing at hide and seek.
You would be pretty stellar at hide and seek. Yeah, I mean, we could be. That would help. Be very beneficial for the ghost hunting too, because
Yeah,
you ever did
I could scare the ghosts.
You could scare the ghosts, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like they're like, oh my god, what?
Whoa! It's like almost like Rachel Fisher, the first human to scare a ghost. What about you?
I don't know. I think I'd be like a human tiger or something, or like a human like killer whale, just like be in the sea, you know?
Nick the whale.
Number 3, cyber war. In 2013, FBI Director James Comey predicted that cyber attacks would soon overtake traditional international terrorism as the greatest threat to homeland security. 2008, Georgia suspected Russia of denial of service attacks. 2013, South Korea accused North Korea of cyber attacks. Hackers have taken on the Pentagon and some suspect terrorist organizations of training their operatives to launch computer assaults. Educating people about computer viruses and Trojan horses will help, and using updated antivirus software is also important. Cyber attacks actually might be useful tools against machines that have learned to think for themselves and chosen to eliminate humanity. We went there right at the end. Yo, you know, craziness. When I was doing some research on some cyber attacks in the past, I think it was 1999. NASA and the American defense, like the Pentagon, all of America, they got hacked by a 15-year-old.
Yeah, they did.
A 15-year-old hacked NASA and the entire United States defense.
I mean,
that is scary, though.
Yeah, and when you think about it, like 15-year-olds used to run the world like centuries ago because we could only live to about 30. So by the time you were 15, you were like, hey, he's king now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't discredit 15-year-olds.
That's definitely a different thing, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it is, but like, it's also like, you know.
Yes, I do understand.
I believe it. That was a stupid point made by me, but like, you know what I mean.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like, I gotta hope that by now our firewalls can be better, because frankly, it's like, it's a little bit disheartening to me, or concerning is the better term, that 15-year-olds can like launch a rocket.
That is terrifying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. They can launch a rocket and eat like sugary cereal for breakfast. Number 4, the technological singularity. Artificial intelligence has come a long way since computers first made the scene. Yet we're not at the edge of a dystopian society in which the machines run amok and humankind fights for its survival. In 1993, Werner Vinge, a math professor at the San Diego State University, proposed what he called the singularity, a time at which computer networks may become self-aware through advanced AI and interfaces between people and computers help humankind evolve. Biological advancements may become so sophisticated that doctors can even engineer human intelligence. There is a possibility, however, that AI might allow machines to take over the world. There's no guarantee that such a scenario will really happen, and technological limitations may prevent it. I hope so.
What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Like
on the
AI
whole,
taking
like,
over the world?
Yeah. What are your actual thoughts on that?
I mean, I wonder if it kind of already has based on our dependency on it.
Okay. Well, let's take
mean?
off the whole, like sociological element
Like
that you're putting on
robots,
there right now. I mean, like, yes.
Okay. Like, will it happen, or what do I think about it? Like, is it a bad idea?
Yeah. I mean, both.
Okay. Could it actually happen? I mean, maybe. I do think that, like, hopefully, there's always a chance. But I do think that, scientists are really well aware of that fear. But I'm also more afraid of their innovation. Like, they're kind of like, no, let's just see how far we can go. Like, I bet you there's one scientist who's like, can this happen? I just want to see if it does. Guys, and then I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? But
maybe.
I don't think it would be a good thing.
Okay, you don't think it would be a good thing?
No, I don't think it would be a good thing.
That's
obviously.
not the natural progression
unless they were
the
really, really, really nice and they helped everybody get along nicely.
Okay.
And like a non totalitarian way.
Got it.
That would be nice. Like, just like everybody could just be nice.
Number 5, driverless cars. Driverless cars used to be the sort of thing you'd see in sci-fi films, but in 2018 they became a reality. Autonomous car technology is already being developed by the likes of Lexus, BMW, and Mercedes, and we've even tested Tesla's driverless autopilot system on UK roads. Across the Atlantic, Google is developing its automated technology in the wild, and Apple is rumored to be working with BMW on its own, probably automated car. One of the biggest concerns about driverless cars isn't the software glitch, but the awkward transition from robot mode to human mode. Although autonomous cars will need better, more connected infrastructure to function effectively, they still face a larger, more unpredictable factor: us. Humans present problems for autonomous cars as both drivers and pedestrians, and dealing with our unpredictable behavior represents a significant challenge for the technology. Also, too, hacking.
Yeah, no, okay, so there's that show on Amazon called Upload, and like one of the characters' like car gets hacked and then he ends up crashing and dying. Would you own one?
See, I did a top 5 video about this the other day, and yes, I would, but I don't want to be one of the first forefront people that is hopping into one of those things, And also too, it's like we want to talk about like cyber attacks, like and stuff like that. I mean, like, you could straight up like take one of these things, take a automated van, nobody's in it, and cause complete chaos.
That's also a thing.
That's
really
scary
have
to
think
me.
about that.
That's scary.
That's really scary to me. Like like when things are just like when people can be as far away from a situation as possible. Like,
just be in another country for all you know. Like
and I know, like, the worst thing you can think of, someone is probably thinking about doing it.
Oh,
crazy, right?
Hate that.
Number 6, geoengineering. The most important engineering innovations of the industrial age are motorized vehicles, electricity generation, and industrial manufacturing are the greatest sources of CO2 emissions. Since world leaders appear unwilling or unable to take meaningful action to reduce greenhouse gases and emissions, some maverick scientists are proposing a risky solution called geoengineering. Geoengineering uses science and technology to hack the planet back into shape. Since global warming is the biggest threat, scientists are proposing creatively creepy ways to artificially cool the atmosphere by either Blocking the sun's rays or sucking up excess CO2. Spraying chemical aerosols like sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere to bounce a fraction of the sunlight back into space, pouring iron into the ocean to spew algae blooms that consume CO2, spraying a mist of seawater into low-lying clouds to make them brighter, reflecting more sunlight, planting forests of artificial trees that use chemical reactions to absorb and store CO2. I like the planting forests idea. I don't like the idea of blocking the sun. I think that's ridiculous.
These all seem pretty risky to me. Granted though, I mean, we're going to be doing the exact same thing. Well, not the exact same thing, but very similar things on Mars if we ever want to live there.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, we could practice.
I mean, we gotta
practice here.
We gotta try out somewhere, right?
But at the same time, it's like, what if we make it worse?
What of a risky
But can it get worse? Can it?
It can always get worse.
It can always get worse.
Number 7, nanobots. Nanorobotics is an emerging technology field creating machines or robots whose components are at or near the scale of a nanometer. Nanomachines are largely in the research and development phase, but some primitive molecular machines and nanomotors have been tested. Biological machines could be used to identify and destroy cancer cells. Let's go! Another potential application is the detection of toxic chemicals and the measurement of their concentrations in the environment. Rice University has demonstrated a single molecule car developed by a chemical process and including Buckminster fullerenes for wheels. It is actuated by controlling the environmental temperature and by positioning a scanning, tunneling microscope tip. According to some futurists, in the next 10 or so years, your blood could be streaming with tiny nanobots to help keep you from getting sick or even transmit your thoughts to a wireless cloud. They will travel inside you on a molecular level, protecting your biological system and ensuring that you'll have a good and long life.
But then again, hacking! Like, ooh!
They're gonna hack my blood, dude? Ooh, you're gonna hack my blood? You would hack my blood.
I wouldn't do it.
I would hate that for you. I would be very upset if you hacked my blood, Rachel.
The only reason I would hack someone's blood is to be like, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Sorry.
I would hate that too.
This gets me excited and terrified at the same time. Because I'm also like, there are benefits, of course, amazing benefits, but there are also obviously the downsides. But I'm curious. I honestly think that this is the direction we probably need to go in, because the further, the closer we get to finding out diseases before they happen, the longer we'll live. Mind reading, oh come on. Scientists from the University of California at San Francisco and the University of California at Berkeley reported that they had produced a device that could read a person's mind. Their findings, published in the New England Journal of Medicine and funded in part by Facebook, describe efforts to connect the brain of a stroke victim directly to a computer with software to interpret his thoughts. I love that. The work is preliminary, it involved just one patient, required dozens of sessions to train the system, made use of a vocabulary of only 50 words, and was only about 50% accurate. But this technology, already a breakthrough, will only improve. I love this. I love this because there's so many people who are nonverbal and who would just like, oh my god, it would be an absolute gift if this could be a thing.
Yeah.
Right? And
if it's used properly. If it's used properly, which so rarely good technology is.
Okay, but you mean like with actual mind reading and things like that?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. Exactly.
Number 9, metaverse. The term metaverse was originally coined in Neil Stephenson's seminal 1992 cyberpunk novel Snow Crash. In the book, the metaverse is a shared imaginary place that's made available to the public over the worldwide fiber optics network and projected onto virtual reality goggles. In it, developers can build buildings, parks, signs, as well as things that do not exist in reality, such as vast hovering overhead light shows, special neighborhoods where the rules of three-dimensional space-time are ignored, and free combat zones where people can go to a hunt and kill each other. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg said, "The metaverse will bring enormous opportunity to individuals, creators, and artists, to individuals who want to work and own homes far from today's urban centers, and to people who live in places where opportunities for education or recreation are more limited. A realized metaverse could be the next best thing to a working teleportation device," he says. With the company's Oculus division, which produces the Quest headset, Facebook is trying to develop one.
I don't know how I feel about this. I'm like, oh great, we won't give you a real home, we'll give you a fake home. That's nuts.
I'm down. I believe we live in a virtual reality already,
Probably.
So I'm ready to go.
Number 1, year 2021 claimant F. Kenton Bashore. This American pastor bases his prediction on the prior suggestion that Jesus would return in 1988, i.e. within one biblical generation, 40 years of the founding of Israel in 1948. Bashore argues that the prediction was correct, but that the definition of a biblical but that the definition of a biblical generation was incorrect and was actually 70-80 years, placing the second coming of Jesus between 2018 and 2028. Where are you, buddy? And the rapture during 2021 at the latest. Mishore argues that a series of signs before apocalypse are mentioned in the Bible, and these signs are slowly turning true over the past couple of years. The evangelical theologist reveals that an alien invasion will also happen before the doomsday. Jesus will mark the second coming to the earth shortly after the apocalypse. You're late, buddy. Mishore made these predictions after analyzing various biblical prophecies, and he believes that the mysterious sounds and trumpets from the skies, which were heard all across the world recently, are an indication that the doomsday is imminent. I wouldn't be surprised that something messed up is gonna happen next, but honestly, after reviewing a lot of history on Bumblebee, I think we can do it. I think we can survive it. I think we're a pretty resilient little parasite, you know? We're pretty good at that stuff. So all I keep hearing is that, like, Jesus keeps saying another 20 minutes. You know? Oh, just 5 more minutes. Yeah, guys, 5 more minutes. Just another 1,000 years, I'll be there. Number 2, year 2026, Claimant Messiah Foundation International. This spiritual organization predicts that the world will end in 2026 when an asteroid collides with Earth, in accordance with Riaz Ahmed Gohar Shahi's prediction in his book, The Religion of God. He claims the comet will be the cause of total destruction, though mentions that in order to intimidate mankind, God plans destruction on a small scale. Okay. Gohar Shahi claimed to have met with Jesus in America. Why always in America? Shahi's supporters claim that his face became prominent on the moon, sun, nebula star, and the black stone in Mecca, and that these appearances are signs from God that Gohar Shahi is awaited Imam Mahdi, Messiah, and Kalki Avatar. I don't know what any of the last bit means. I'm trying to take this seriously. I'm trying, Shresh, but it's very hard when I'm just so intimidated by God. Number 3, year 2028. Claimant Kent Hovind. Kent E. Hovind is an American Christian fundamentalist, evangelist, and tax protester. So many things to do. He is a controversial figure in the young earth creationist movement whose ministry focuses on denial of scientific theories in the fields of biology, evolution, geophysics, and cosmology in favor of a literalist interpretation of the Genesis creation narrative found in the Bible. While clarifying there is no way to be certain, this Christian fundamentalist evangelist speculated in 2015 that 2028 was the most likely date for the rapture. In his book, What on Earth is About to Happen for Heaven's Sake, dissertation on end times according to the Holy Bible, he gives a brief overview of the evidence supporting the biblical view of creation and the flood, and gives an easy to understand explanation of what the Bible teaches about the coming tribulation time, the rapture of the believers, the time of God's wrath, the battle of Armageddon, and the end of the world. In addition, there's a long section on what we should do in light of what is coming. Okay, well, I mean, it's always good to have that information just in your back pocket, because honestly, who knows? We just had a pandemic. The world just is nuts, and I don't understand anything that's going on. I'm just trying to live life day by day. But previously, when we did number 2, I think Asteroid is the scariest way to end the world, because, like, what can you do about that? You're like, oh, it's going. All right, I guess this is it, guys. I quit. This one, however, I just don't know. He lost me at dissertation. A dissertation on the Bible. Can't. Those two words don't go together. Number 4, date 31st of December 2129. Sayyid Nursar. This Sunni Muslim theologian, author of the Risale-e-Nur and founder of the Nur movement, wrote in a letter to one of his students that by applying numerology to a hadith, he had arrived at a date of 1545 for the arrival of doomsday. 1545 in the Hijri calendar would be 2122. In the Rumi calendar, it would be 2129. Nursar added that this was not a definite prediction, as nobody knows the time of doom in a strict manner. Okay, well, honestly, I'm the most okay with this one because I'm probably gonna be long gone by that point. So I don't really have to stress about that one too much, you know. Again, in 2021, I can chill out a little bit more. As much as I can. Number 5, date 30th of September 2239. Claimant, Talmud, Orthodox Judaism. According to the Talmud and mainstream Orthodox Judaism, the Messiah will come within 6,000 years of the creation of Adam, and the world may be destroyed 1,000 years later. That's depressing. This would put the beginning of the period of desolation in 2239 and the end of the period of desolation in 3239. According to tradition, the Hebrew calendar started at the time of creation, placed at 3761 BCE. The current 2122 Hebrew year is 5782. Okay. I mean, this is my question. I mean, if you remember when everybody was freaking out about 2012? Like, I remember looking out my window just in case and just did a little goodbye to the world on the eve of 2012 because I was like, just in case, I just want to know that I said goodbye. Woke up, life was as normal. You know what I mean? And I just feel like there's gonna be so much hype for these years that when you finally get to it and nothing happens, it's like, okay, well, what does this mean for our beliefs? Number 6, the Large Hadron Collider. The LHC, located at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, can recreate the Big Bang in its underground facility in Switzerland. Yeah, I know. As a result, some theorists have claimed the giant proton colliding machine could create black holes which could swallow the Earth. Despite the dangers, the LHC was turned on in 2008 and the world is still intact. Yes, it is still intact so far as we know. Perhaps it was we split into a whole bunch of different quantum realities and we're only living in this one today and the next one is different. You know what I mean? It could be anything. I know Stephen Hawking was also really concerned about this machine. He was like, I really want it to be built, but if things go wrong, they'll go really wrong. So hopefully things don't go wrong. But this is the most believable out of all the predictions because, you know, who knows. Number 7. In around 5 billion years, it is predicted that the sun will turn into a red giant star caused by a helium burning process. It will expand and swallow Mercury and Venus and most likely Earth as well. Whether our planet is consumed or not, the movement of the sun will mean the end of life on Earth. The human race will have to figure out a way of leaving the planet to have a more habitable home. This is true. We do have a lot of time though, but this is very true. Besides the actual climate crisis we're in right now, we don't actually have a lot of time to figure this stuff out, which is why we're going to Mars, I think, hopefully by the 2030s. Maybe. But yeah, that's gonna happen. That's a prediction, but that's also like a pattern of the universe, so it's probably gonna happen. Stars do that all the time. They just explode and consume what's around them. Little mini death bombs. Little mini death bombs. Big, massive, huge death bombs of magic, because wow, space. Number 8, rogue black hole. Ooh, this one's cool. There are 100 million black holes in our galaxy, and the growth in the number of these black holes could one day cause our star system to collapse. In fact, there is a black hole that scientists say is growing and slowly reaching Earth. Yippee! The black hole named XJ1417 plus 52 is a so-called intermediate mass black hole, tipping the scale at about 100,000 times the mass of the sun, the statement said. This is smaller than supermassive black holes, which are generally defined as those with 100,000 to 10 billion times the sun's mass. I also learned about this from NASA too. There's black holes that are stationary, and then there's ones that just kind of wander, and there's one in our galaxy that's just like woo 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 woo. Yeah, because that's what black holes do. They go woo 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 woo. Probably. So again, out of our control. Just gotta keep living life and being kind to people. And if stuff like that happens, you know, we did our best. Number 9, the Hoppy Prophecy. This is a prophecy that was established by the Hoppy Indians, and the prophecy states that after a spirit by the name of Blue Star Cassina is visible to everyone in the day of purification, basically a series of catastrophic events, is realized, the true white brother will come to Earth in search of Hoppy, the Hoppy elders who are supposed to preserve the natural balance of the world. And if the true white brother is unable to find uncorrupted men and women, the world we know will be destroyed. Ooh, this one kind of sounds like the day the Earth stood still. You know, like where like that alien comes down. I think it's this movie, correct me if I'm wrong, where like the alien comes down and goes like, alright, are people good? Are people good? And then he reports back that we aren't because we got problems. And then like they're like, wait, no, there is good in the world. Come, look at this. And I think it ends happily. I haven't seen it in a long time, I can't remember. But reminds me of that. Honestly, why does every religion have like a prediction for the end of the world? You know what I mean? Like, are we that pessimistic? You know? Or are we just aware that things can go very, very wrong if we don't stay in line? Who knows? Number 10, Ai Takeover. iRobot. An AI takeover is a real-world scenario in which computers, artificial intelligence (AI), becomes the dominant form of intelligence on Earth. As computer programs or robots effectively take control of the planet away from the human species, possible scenarios include replacement of the entire human workforce, takeover by a superintelligent AI, and the popular notion of a robot uprising. Some public figures such as Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk have advocated research into precautionary measures to ensure future superintelligent machines remain under human control. A significant problem is that unfriendly artificial intelligence is likely to be much easier to create than friendly AI. While both require large advances in recursive optimization process design, friendly AI also requires the ability to make goal structures invariant under self-improvement, or the AI could transform itself into something unfriendly, and a goal structure that aligns with human values and does not undergo instrumental convergence in ways that may automatically destroy the entire human race. An unfriendly AI, on the other hand, can optimize for an arbitrary goal structure which does not need to be invariant under self-modification. I mean, humans will probably be the weapon of mass destruction for ourselves. Like, we will probably mechanize a way that accidentally destroys us. I mean, I'm sure you guys can tell, but like, I'm leaning more on the side of science here, being like, yeah, science, the things that we create could potentially have the means to destroy us. So in terms of artificial intelligence, it is really scary. It's scary how helpful it is and how addictive it is and how much we actually kind of use it every day and don't even notice. And then like, imagine that tenfold. Siegfried and Roy tiger attack. In 1993, an episode titled Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling, I know what that's an allusion to, magicians in a Siegfried and Roy-like show got attacked by their trustworthy tiger. In 2003, Roy was attacked by one of their white tigers during a live performance. He sustained injuries but lived. Oh, crazy. I wonder if like the reason the Simpsons keep predicting the future is because they're so good at social commentary and they're so well they just depict like heightened states of our society so well that it just ends up coming true because they just understand what's going on. I don't know, maybe they're the only ones. Faulty voting machine. During the 2012 elections, a voting machine proved faulty when votes cast for Barack Obama went to Mitt Romney instead. In a 2008 episode, Homer Simpson went to the voting booths to cast a vote for Obama, but his vote went to McCain instead. Right? I mean, seriously. I just think the Simpsons are so well adjusted to what's going on in the world that they're like, yeah, we're gonna write about it and I bet this would happen. I wonder how many times somebody's like won really good cash from these things. Horse meat scandal. In 1994, an episode titled Sweet Seymour Skinner's Bad Song, the lunch lady was seen reaching into a barrel labeled assorted horse parts and putting the meat into the school's lunch pot. In 2013, do you guys remember this? In 2013, it was reported that traces of horse DNA was found in beef products across the UK. Ah, gross. Gross. I mean, it is meat, it's animal meat, but it's like, it's the fact that the meat doesn't belong there I think that freaks people out the most. You know? Right? Chris? Yeah, it's kind of nasty. Like, if I don't know, like, if I think I'm eating beef and it turns out to be, like, deer, I'll be like, wait, what? Ugh, I wasn't mentally prepared for that. I don't want to eat Bambi's mom out of nowhere. No, I need to be mentally prepared for that. No way. Old Beatles letters. In season 2's episode 18, Brush with Greatness, Ringo Starr from the Beatles is shown responding to fan letters while saying, "They took the time to write me and I don't care if it takes me another 20 years, I'm going to answer every one of them." That's very cute. Well, 2 women in England received a reply to their fan mail from Sir Paul McCartney 50 years later. That is adorable. I just think that's adorable. I wonder if Paul McCartney just like saw that episode and was like, you know what? Yeah, fair enough. Because that's a really good point too, right? I mean, like, you know, they must get like so many fans and some wild requests and things like that. So like asking to be like their date to a birthday party or like prom. How do you respond to that? Like kindly saying no. That would suck, right? Smart watches. Sorry Apple, but The Simpsons had smart watches first. In a 1995 episode in which the TV show is set in the future, Lisa's husband is shown speaking to a phone on his wrist. The first smartwatch wasn't created until 2013. Well, that's like the same thing like Star Trek stuff, right? Because like the cell phone was because of Star Trek. There's a couple other things. Like I know that like NASA's working on teleportation, which is crazy, because of Star Trek. Like, it's just kind of, I think that's like a natural mirroring of like, I think that's a natural case of mirroring what's kind of like the next, like the logical next step for technology. Like, I don't know, I think probably like the hologram arm thing from Spy Kids is next for me. I want to see that. I want to see that. Disney owns Fox. Back in 1998, a quick scene in The Simpsons showed 20th Century Fox as a division of Walt Disney Co. And in March 2019, Disney completed its $71.3 billion acquisition of 21st Century Fox's films and TV assets. Okay, so they probably knew that was coming. They probably heard whispers on the wind because I feel like companies know they're gonna combine, they're gonna like meld into each other like years before it actually happens. So I feel like that was probably like an insider secret that they just wanted to like pop in there. Three-eyed fish. In a 1990 episode, Bart catches a mutated three-eyed fish in the local river, a nod to the pollutant effects of the town's nuclear power plant. Over 20 years later, in 2011, a real-life fish and practically a dead ringer for its cartoon counterpart was discovered in an Argentinian reservoir located near a nuclear facility. We're all gonna have 3 heads when we are in the future. I don't know. Probably. I think that'd be cool though. What's better than 2 eyes? 3. 60-60 what is it? 60-60 vision. I can't f***ing speak today. President Trump. I knew this one was coming. I knew this one was coming. The Simpsons writers predicted Donald Trump would become president back in 2000. The episode A Bart to the Future envisions the futures of Bart and Lisa Simpson. The latter, with an uncanny resemblance to Hillary Clinton, has become the first female president of the United States. As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump, as she says to her advisors. They then inform her that her predecessor has bankrupted the country, probably with all the McDonald's he bought. Probably, you know? I mean, we knew that was coming. I feel like, again, that was like an inside job, because like all these people behind The Simpsons, specifically the direct creators, they probably know people, they have connections, they heard whispers on the wind, and they're just like, how, wouldn't it be funny if this idiot was president? And then it happened. Ooh, I can't imagine being like happy to be so right. Or I can't imagine being so sad to be so right. Kamala Harris's vice presidency. Fans noticed that Kamala Harris's ensemble at President Joe Biden's inauguration ceremony was almost identical to Lisa Simpson's attire in a 2000 episode. In the episode, Lisa wears a purple suit and a pearl necklace as she became president of the United States. The new vice president donned a purple outfit and matched it with black heels and a pearl necklace at the inauguration ceremony at the Capitol in January. So probably. Lisa Simpson for president though, to be honest. Ooh, that episode of Black Mirror where that happens, where like an animation character becomes president. Ooh. Or prime minister, because it's England. Tom Hanks gets coronavirus. Tom Hanks, 63. 63? Wow, he looks great. Was hospitalized with coronavirus alongside his wife, Rita Wilson, in Australia. They tested positive to the deadly bug after starting to feel tired and suffering from body aches. Simpsons fans were quick to point out how the actor had a cameo in the series previously, where he was seen advertising a new Grand Canyon and claiming the US government had lost its credibility. He added, "This is Tom Hanks saying, if you see me in person, please leave me be." While the link appears very loose, many social media users claim the line from the actor was a chilling prediction of his illness all the same. I feel like that's probably the loosest one. I feel like that one doesn't have a lot of ground to stand on, if I'm being completely honest.